Ladies and gentlemen, what the heck did we just watch? Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic, host of Bachelor Nation News, being joined shortly by Spoiler King Reality Steve. Let's take a roll call. Who's in the audience? Tell me, did your jaw get stuck to the ground? Was that not insane? I'm still getting a few things going here, rebooting the system. It's been a while since I've done an evening live stream, but boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Maria somehow stole the show. We've got updates from all of Bachelor alumni literally pouring in. If someone had an update that you want me to share, let me know. We've got Sam from this season. We've got Katie Bigger and Zach Shell Cross offering their update. We have Rachel Recchia dang near sobbing in the background. We've got it all. The Discord was lit. Yeah, you guys got to be in the Discord. You can go to my Instagram if you want to check that out. Unbelievable. I've got a link to the podcast in the comment section if you want to subscribe now. I'll have that up tonight at midnight. As soon as I'm done here, we will have the podcast. I'm sure there's going to be more tea to come from Reality Steve. I got to tell you, to be quite fair, we really only heard her side of the story. To be quite fair, she is the lead. But we can't, are we going to get mad at people for phone calling the breakup of the proposal of the engagement? You know what I mean? We have seen that happen in the short past. We've seen Blake Moynes on the receiving call of a engagement breakup. Of course, that happened under different circumstances from this one, and you can just tell the wounds are relatively fresh. Looneycorn said, yes, we are going to get mad at them for that, Dave. Bruce says he could have explained his side and he just sat there like a lump. Well, I'll tell you what. Oh boy, we have 1,000 people in the chat. We're going to be really going tonight. I'm going to make sure Steve is on the way live now. Come whenever, Steve. We'll wait for Steve to fly in. Lisa said there's no defending Devin. Guys, I'm not trying to defend Devin. I'm just saying we didn't hear, here's the question I want to know. The whole, he ghosted. Well, you know what? I tell you what, we'll get into all of that. But let's be joined by the king of the spoilers, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Texas. It's Reality Steve Carbone. How are you, my guy?
What was that? What did we just watch? I can't believe this.
Why we watched the whole boring season, right? For the last 20 minutes.
I mean, God, I got so many thoughts going through my head, but
first of all, you nailed it again. Another successful season. Congratulations. I'll give you flowers, as Gen Z calls it.
Yeah. I'm in amazement at what we just saw. I feel awful for Jen. And when I watch it and I saw that, I'm like comparing it to past seasons. I don't think we've ever seen now granted, we've had couples that were on the outs at After the Final Rose. Some had broken up before then, but this was on a level that I just don't think we've ever seen before. That was unreal what we just watched.
It feels very fresh. Now, this was supposedly a month ago, right? But it feels like this happened in the green room about 20 minutes beforehand.
It sounded like she said we haven't seen each other in a month, but
I'm still here. Sorry, I got to fix my camera.
It sounded like she said we haven't seen each other in a month, but that phone call where he broke up with her over the phone, that seemed to happen recently.
Do you think
I heard it happened? I found out today it happened like about 3 weeks ago, or I guess we go like around hometown date episodes. So that was like 3 weeks ago.
Well, walk us through your spoiler. What is it? Here's how I think it goes down. You wake up around 10 a.m. You get ready for your morning Olive Garden, and then your phone blows up. Like, what? Does a guy smoking a cigarette hand you an envelope? Like, how does it work?
Well, look, there were rumblings about a month ago, right when Jen kind of said it on the show. There were rumblings about people sent me screenshots of Instagram accounts that Jen was liking. I actually have them in my phone right now. I actually have them in my phone. I think I still have them saved, so I can actually read you some of the. Oh, crap.
Let me tell you, these ladies love to like a good meme when they feel scorned. I'll tell you that. There's no, they need to add that into the contract. No liking memes if you've. There's very Claire Crowley of her.
So the thing is, they sent it to me, but I was like, how do you know? Like, again, I was sent this, but I never got an answer to, well, did she like these? I didn't know if these were likes when she was dating that ex that showed up on the show. Like, I had no idea when these likes happened. I asked and I never got an answer. But one of the memes she's liked was, on the days when you miss the bond, please remember the disrespect. Another one said, inconsistency is the first sign that someone only cares about you when it's convenient for them. And then another one was like 4 paragraphs. Let yourself be sad, let yourself be a mess, but promise yourself that you'll try a little harder each day. That's all you can do. Take it day by day. You'll learn things about yourself you didn't know. You'll learn all the time. Maybe you deserved more. A beautiful thing happens when you give your heart time to heal itself. Like, that doesn't sound, I mean, there's a couple more paragraphs, but Jen's not liking those if she's happily engaged. So those got sent to me about a month ago. And I was like, okay, something is up. But I went back to my sources and I just couldn't get anything. I couldn't get anything either way. They were just like, I don't know what's going on. So I was just like, all right, well, I can't confirm anything, so I'm not going to say anything, but I knew about the likes on the Instagram. I had heard about Devin following Maria and then all of a sudden unfollowing her.
I was baby Augie. I just got him to sleep in my arms, and we're all quiet. Baby, I'm being all quiet. And then Maria then Jen mentioned that he followed Maria, and I go, "Oh no!" And the baby wakes up. I was like, "Jeez, they should have given me a spoiler before, like a trigger warning before that."
Did Devin do anything right? I mean, look, people have brought this up to me, so I even cringed. I didn't want to watch that proposal. I felt bad for Jen. You notice that when they first started showing the proposal, after we had already known how awful he was to her and basically didn't follow up on anything he promised all season long when he love bombed her from hometown dates on. So they start showing the proposal, and in the box at the bottom, we see Jen just bawling her eyes out and Devin's head is down. You realize after about 30 seconds, they're like, yeah, this probably, they took the box off the screen. I was like, yeah, you probably should, because what is this accomplishing? All you're doing is making Jen, your lead, feel even worse. Like, I don't know how they're going to, you tweeted it out and you said it jokingly, but I'm guessing part of it had to do with you had to get Neil Lane's ring in there. I get you. I bet that has to have something to do with why they showed it. But when Jesse Palmer does,
it's like not like Neil Lane's paying that much money. I mean, you know what I mean? It can't be that big of a product placement, because from the production side of things, I'm going, all right, if Devin and Jen broke up yesterday or even like 3 days ago, I could go, well, the scene's already picture locked, it's blocked in. But yeah, they could have done anything but show it. They could have dumped the scene on YouTube tomorrow, but no, they went for it. Yeah.
And I just think there's no way that they can nobody in this franchise, whether it's Jesse Palmer who comes out and speaks, because he's going to be asked about it when he does media interviews, or Robert Mills or somebody, nobody can say that was the right choice. It wasn't. They flat out were wrong by showing that proposal after the fact. And it didn't accomplish anything but other than make their lead more, unless they just admit, like, yeah, we wanted to make Jen cry more on stage, because that's the only reason why you would have shown that. Like, what was the point? We didn't need to see what happened on May 16th when we clearly know what's happening on September 3rd or September 2nd. What's today? 3rd? 2nd? What's the date? 3rd. That was on May 16th. It's like, okay, we know they got engaged. You know, you told us Jen proposed to him, and I know they're going to send it around this. Well, we wanted to show you, Jen, how powerful and empowering of a woman you were back then. No, I'm sorry. That's not a good enough reason to make her sit through that. I mean, shit, even before they went to the segment, she said, do I have a say in this? Do I have a choice? Because she's just like,
someone in the comment section said this is not about Neil Lane. I don't know if it's not about Neil Lane. They're like, when something like this weird happens, you go, wow. My only other thought was maybe they thought the convo between Jen and Devin would have gone better, and then it wouldn't have looked so bad to share this. But even that's like, they broke up. How good is it going to go?
Yeah. What did you, that's just poor planning on their part. What'd you think?
Well, Devin was for sure surprised. He was like, I didn't know this was the type of conversation we were going to have. Look, I mean, if I'm Devin going to see Jeremy after breaking up, I don't fault him for those types of things. I think if you're going to do, it's almost like you look back at like Tino and you look back and you go, well, I guess that's the way to break up, even though that was slightly different, but like in person, do it the right way. It kind of feels like Jen was being ghosted by Devin, the way she explained he was kind of pulling away. They call that, there's a term for that. It's not ghosting, but it's like a soft pullback. Maybe someone in the comment section knows, but
a soft pullout, Dave. Is that what we were talking
about? Yeah, that's what got him into this mess.
Yeah. Well, you know what the other thing is, and I guess a lot of people were asking me this, and I guess in those two segments with Jen and Devin up on stage, we still never really got an answer as to, we heard Jen say, basically right after the engagement, I felt like you were pulling away the whole time. You had one foot out the door the whole time. We never got to hear from Devin as to why. Like, what made you pull away? When you got off the show, did you just feel different? Did you not like Jen anymore? Why did you do all these things? And he was never held to that, to answer that question. And I think that's what a lot of people want to know. We know what he did to her. I guess us as viewers want to know why he did it to her. Why did you promise all those things and couldn't follow through? And all he said was, yeah, I did promise those things and I didn't follow through. So then the follow-up question should be, okay, but why didn't you? Did you just fall? Did you meet somebody else? Look, I'm starting to hear things a lot tonight. I'm going to start doing some digging, but none of it looks pretty for Devin.
You never want Steve to start digging. Devin goes, I'm going to go watch Dave Neal's live stream. I hope Steve's not digging. And Steve's like, I got a pitchfork and a shovel. What do you want from me? Yeah. Audiences are never going to like what I'm about to say because it's an angry mob, and I get that. But I do think it'll only get better for Devin when he does share his story. I'm not surprised he wasn't prepared because I don't think he thought, like everyone's got a plan so you get punched in the face. I don't think and by the way, nobody had a better night than Marcus. Oh my gosh, nobody. He's left off the hook. People are going, well, at least Marcus knew he wasn't going to get there. And that's kind of what it comes down to. Did Devin actually love her, or was it a product of you're in the system, you're going down the rapids, and you're just doing what you think you're supposed to do? Because we do know, look at Katie Thurston's season. She fell out of love with Blake Moynes really quick, and no one got mad at her. But like, understand, obviously, as the lead, maybe it's different. Maybe it's different when you're not the star, when you're the contestant, and do the breaking up. Maybe that's different. But I do think he's going to tell his story, and it's going to soften this vibe. But yeah, she came with the receipts and the nightclubs. She was, she was ready to pull out the bouncer to tell you, that he was at the nightclub. She was ready to, and that is kind of performative, but I don't blame her. It's probably cathartic too.
Yeah, I don't see what he's going to do. Like, what does he say at this point that, I don't know, makes him even look remotely good? I mean, it just, because it was one of these things where he was the only one and he started at hometown dates with the I love yous. And then it was a form of love bombing the whole time. How many times did he tell her, I love you, I'm in love with you? And then he's begging her, like, man, I just don't feel right until you say it. And she finally says it to him. And then to hear her say tonight, like, we didn't know. When did this all start? Was it a couple months into it? Was things going well for a month? Were they going well for 2 months? She said literally the minute they left Hawaii that started pulling away, 1 foot out the door. It's just like, okay, that's way too early, especially considering how much you were telling her how much you loved her and how much over and over again that I'm going to do all this for you. It's just going to be us two, which now makes me think all the stuff that I've been hearing about Devin. Shit, the time when I found out that he was the guy that she picked and that they were engaged. I didn't know about that she proposed to him, although that was hinted all season long when they kept showing the trailer of her saying, I can't let you propose to me. That was a lot of people's guesses. I said, look, I don't know what it is. I said, that seems kind of out of left field, but I'm not ruling it out. I just didn't think that was it. Obviously, it ended up being it. But everything I've heard about this guy literally now has been, in my eyes, proven true. He went on the show for clout. He had no interest. And I think one thing that was revealed during the show is Devin wasn't a fan of the show. He didn't watch the show. So for him to never watch the show and then go on it and be as love bomby as he was, to me makes me think that he was just telling her what she wanted to hear so he could win. And it kind of lends a little bit of credence to what Thomas, Sam were saying about Devin. We think this guy's a phony. We think this guy's putting on an act for TV. And while they probably they were right about it. To me, it just came across tonight. It's like, okay, now I see it. Everything that I was hearing about this guy, that he strictly went on it. He had no interest in getting as far as he did. He ended up in the position that he was, and he's like, oh, shit, and he did it. He got to the end. He gets engaged, but he never took the relationship seriously. He never was going to take it seriously. And based on everything that Jen said, yeah, that's what it looks like. He just told her in that moment, and during those moments in the Bachelor bubble, he was telling her everything that he thought she wanted to hear, and I don't think he believed a word of what he was saying. He just wanted to win.
Yeah, and the only winners here, as far as I can tell, are you and I. Melissa says, I don't normally comment, but I respect and appreciate both of you guys. Adore your friendship. Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to see Steve and Dave in the flesh, I'm telling you right now, 2025, you're going to have your moment. I know you probably haven't announced the dates yet, but stay tuned to Steve. And Steve also has his YouTube channel firing up there. Your audio video looks fantastic, so people can just search your name on YouTube. But look, we have a real cryptic post someone said here. So let me share my screen. And did you see this one from Robert Mills?
Yeah, someone. Yeah, well, Devin, you had the opportunity to confess if you did anything else to Jen post-proposal. So, I mean, so he probably knows the stuff that's been told to me. I can only imagine.
So it looked like Jesse Palmer wanted to call Devin out. Maybe Jen knew something but didn't want to call him out. Are you willing to say what this is, or are you going to hold on to it?
It's not that I want to hold on to it because I am leading people to, you got to tune in to, no, it's nothing like that. I just want to get confirmation because this is stuff I'm hearing for the first time tonight. I was getting DM'd on Instagram tonight by somebody who had some pretty interesting things to say about Devin from May 16th to September 3rd. And I just don't want to throw it out there without any sort of confirmation or speaking to the person who was allegedly involved in this. But I will say that it certainly lines up with Robert Mills' tweet, and it certainly lines up with everything that Jen said about him, about why he would have pulled away.
How crazy that like the brass of the show are tweeting things like that. I mean, it really takes us to the net.
They're throwing him under the bus, right? I mean, that's
oh yeah. I mean, and I don't feel bad for Devin, but like, you don't even get paid for this. You know what I mean? This is like, you're not even on the payroll and you're getting it.
Yeah. And it's like, we understand like this show is turned into people go on it so they can build their brand afterwards. And it looks like hell. Somebody sent me an Instagram post today by Sam that looks like Sam and Thomas are starting a podcast on September 13th.
Yeah.
It's just like,
I'm
really,
surprised
guys?
they're allowed to, they must have gotten approval. Big Ralph says Devin was into the game once he won the game over. I mean, look, here's the deal, right? That can be true and you not even realize it because, these guys, I mean, Marcus, he better be first in line for the therapy session tomorrow too. These guys, anyone who's attracted to shows like this usually have some work they need to do. Speaking of people that need to do some work here, we've got, let me see here. We've got Sam M. Sorry, I'm trying to see how to find this. Oh, no, that's not it.
Did he post something tonight?
Yeah, but I'm having a hard time pulling it up here. Hold on one second. Maybe. Oh, there we go. Yeah, he posted. Someone said when the worst person was actually right, and he reshared it, and then he also shared this here, which was, I guess, just him saying "told you so." Now, look, I mean, a broken clock can be right twice a day. I don't think Sam was any better for Jen. But I do think it was interesting. Did you see Jeremy kind of laughing after Jen called out Devin for going to the club with Jeremy? He kind of had this like shit-eating grin, like, what are you going to do? Did you see that part?
Yeah, I did. And, again, if Devin was out there, I don't know the exact timing. She made it seem like it happened literally. He was partying in a club with Jeremy the day after he broke up with her over the phone. First off, breaking an engagement over the phone. I mean, I understand we're in 2024 and a lot of guys do that. And I guess that's considered like part of the ghosting era that we're in now, but you don't end an engagement over the phone, dude. I'm sorry. Like,
well, it was the same format of Katie Thurston, because she ended the engagement the night before she was supposed to fly to see Blake and meet his family. So I think it was kind of the same, like, I want to end it before we do the thing. But in Devin's scenario, it's like, take the flight to the safe house. Yeah. They're already probably paying for it for you. Go do it in person. And I'm sure if he could do it again, he would, because it might minimize, like, it might have burned off some of this energy before it got to the live show.
It just looks bad. I mean, it's an engagement. It deserves more than a phone call, and let's do it over the phone. So I can't really say what I think about him partying in the club with Jeremy, because I don't know the exact timeline. Jen made it seem like it was the next day. I don't know if it was a week later. Does that make it better? If it was the next day, does that make it worse? I don't know. It's not a great look, but not that I agree with Devin on anything, because I thought he handled himself very poorly up there. Didn't really take accountability for literally anything that Jen accused him of. But he's allowed. I mean, if he's not lying that it was a business trip and he like, oh, I have business in New York, let me meet up with Jeremy. He's a buddy of mine. We went to the Final Four together. Like, I can understand him meeting up with Jeremy if he's on a business trip. But again, it's hard. Now it's like turning into kind of the issue I had with Sam McKinney all season, because I know what he said about Jen when he got back from filming. It's the same thing now I have with Devin. I don't know whether to believe anything this guy says, because literally he love bombed her for 4 straight episodes to end the season and said he was going to do all this stuff for her, and he did absolutely nothing. So it's an action speak louder than words deal. He was just full of shit, and he was just telling her what she wanted to hear. And he got home and didn't follow up with any of it, you know?
You know, it's bad when Zach Shallcross is even mean mugging you. Here's Zach responding right here.
Again, at what point can we just focus on what happened?
And by the way, did Zach have a choice? Here's what I learned. When you watch these shows with your lady, you just take the female side. You go, you know what, right? You're right, honey. All men are the worst. My wife, if she doesn't, Tasha, she's got one foot out the door when it comes to this show. She doesn't know anyone's name. She's just like,
Did she watch tonight at least?
Yeah, a little bit, but she's just like, who's that guy? What? Like, I'm always like, you want to know Steve? Spoiler? And she's like, no, don't tell me. And I'm like, you're not going to catch up. You're done. You know, if she's not hooked on night one, like really hooked, she's done. But you know, this episode is the example of why watching a dull season is worth it, because it's just like, we got the payoff. Like, people can be mad at Devin all they want, but they got what they wanted. This is the Russell Crowe, are you not entertained moment. You got it. You got to see blood. This is what you wanted.
And I know that most people don't go into the office anymore, because the phrase that's always used on a night like this is, oh, it's going to be the water cooler talk tomorrow. Number one, people don't go into offices anymore. And two, I don't know if there are water coolers anymore. Are there in offices? Does Arrowhead still send bottles to people's door and they have it and they put it on their, or Sparklets, those water companies? But
you know, you and I, water coolers. We don't have the office. We have us. That's all we have.
So, but if we were going to use the phrase water cooler, I mean, this is going to be talked about by everybody tomorrow, but now instead of the water cooler, it's in your group text messages, in your girls' night out. You're going to be talking about what a dog Devin is. I mean, just the responses on my Twitter feed, it's just like, there's not one person defending this guy, and there's not one person just absolutely destroying him. And
let's try. If you were his if you were his attorney, what would you say? Give me your closing statements on Devin.
God, I don't even know. I mean, I'm bummed that Jesse didn't push harder for, okay, we understand, Devin, that you didn't do all these things after Hawaii, but why didn't you do them? Why weren't you able to follow up on what you said? Did you get home and was it like a 2-month beer goggles? You took off your beer goggles and you're like, oh shit, I don't even like her. I'm not even attracted to her. Like, what was it? It had to be something, because he was so bad those last 4 episodes, pouring it on so thick to her. And then for him to follow up with absolutely nothing, like he didn't even give her a month of new relationship bliss. It sounded like from the very get-go, he was pulling away, wasn't calling as much, very distant. It's just like, okay, something is off here to where, and again, I just think he was, what Sam and Thomas were saying about him was right. He was in it to win it. He was in it to win a competition he probably had never won. Let's face it, Dave, you and I have no problem complimenting the looks on some of the men in this franchise. Say, it's a good-looking guy. Conventionally, Devin doesn't fit the mold of somebody who has won this show in the past. I don't think, looks-wise. It's not, he's a guy. He doesn't have six-pack abs. He's not conventionally attractive like the men who have won past season, the Jordan Rodgers of the world, the Blake Moynes of the world. They are strikingly handsome guys. Devin, I think people can go either way with him, but man, he just came across as a total con artist to me. And he came across as he was in it to win it. He won a competition and then realized, oh, wow, the end of this competition is me being engaged to another human being who I don't want to be engaged to. And now I got to find my way out of it.
Yeah. What does our friend Dr. Diane Strakowski says? She says, we're all like tea. We don't know what flavor we are until we're dropped in hot water. And I see the show like a cult. I see it as, a complete bloodbath of manipulation. And I wonder, do they put them under a spell? Does he think he loves her because they're in, Hawaii? Who doesn't? I fall in love with my waiter in Hawaii. Everyone looks beautiful there, right? I mean, but people are not defending Devin, but I'm getting private. This goes to show Bachelor Nation. It's a very fair and obvious point to go pitchforks at Devin, but privately people are saying, dude, what do we expect? Someone said, I agree with everyone that Jen's feeling horrible. The whole scene reminded me a lot of everything that went down with Rachel and Tino. Another case where they put the Bachelorette on a pedestal to say her piece, and the ex looks really bad, only to find out later there's another side to the story, and he actually sounds like a pretty good guy. This is not to dismiss Rachel or Jen's feelings, just to say there's probably more to the story, and we don't really get the full picture. Well, that's kind of like what I'm saying is, if everyone hates Devin 10 out of 10, maybe after he does his 2-hour tell-all, you only hate him 6 out of 10. You know what I mean? Like, I think if there's anything that could be redeeming from Devin, it's that he goes, well, look, I saw she was in love with Marcus. I saw she said she loved Marcus first. So like and again, I'm just playing the devil's advocate before everyone goes nuts on me. But if I'm Devin, I might, that might be my angle. I go, look, you said you loved Marcus, and I'm watching it back going, he was the one all along.
I gotta believe that Devin's first interview is going to be Nick's podcast. You would think like this would be the perfect place where he would go. I think Nick will be very critical, and Nick will ask the questions that need to be asked of him. But this doesn't seem like he's going on Bachelor Happy Hour with Joe and Serena. I don't think this is a Caitlyn interview. I think and I don't think it's a Ben and Ashley interview. I think this is right up Nick Vial's alley to get Devin.
Do you think Nick is worse? Do you think Devin is worse than Greg Grippo? Because everybody hated Greg Grippo, right? I mean, I think
way more people liked him, and because Katie was polarizing on her season to where.
Yeah, you're right. Grippo had an audience.
Grippo had an audience. I don't think Devin has much of an audience, especially after tonight. It's very minimal. I'm sure, obviously, everybody's got fans out there. Hell, people were loving Sam McKinney this season. Everyone's got fans.
Don't give Devin the PR. I think what's fair is fair. We got to watch the whole season through Jen's, point of view. Maybe, I'm not sticking up for Devin. I'm just saying I'll be interested. Like if I'm going to be a part of a group that wants to bash Devin, I want to know the full story, and I think we'll find that out in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, you're right.
Nick's going to get him. Yeah. Nick's going to get him. I got to believe that it's Nick's. I can already see the Nick teaser trailer on Instagram Reels with the ominous music in the background and him asking the question. And then, I can just see this coming. I don't think Devin disappears. I don't know if he's going to, all of a sudden start doing a bunch of reality shows. But what I'm saying is I don't think that those two segments on the couch are the only time we're going to hear Devin say this. And he's just like, you know what, that was bad enough. I don't want to say anything more. I just want to move on with my life. I think he's probably going to want to go on somebody's podcast. He's certainly not coming on mine, and he's got to be on a Bachelor approved one. My guess is Nick's going to get him.
Now, I didn't catch your thoughts on when Sam was on the Men Tell All. Do you think Jen handled him appropriately? And do you think he handled the whole situation appropriately?
I had no problem with what Jen said, but I think Jen has been made aware of everything that was being said about her by his family, because they, she kept it very general by saying, your friends and family, going on social media and blaming the edit and blaming producers. She had every right to say that, because I've been saying that ever since. That's been my whole beef with Sam, is just like, man, you got to take accountability for what you did. Yes, there were some things that were certainly Frankenbit and certainly were just voiceovers, but there were plenty of things that weren't voiceovers, that weren't Frankenbitten, where it's just like, you got to explain yourself on this. Not to mention, like I said, I bet you Jen is very well aware of some of the things that Sam was saying post-show to people when he got home, which I know about. I've seen the text messages. So that's why I didn't believe anything that Sam was selling. So I had no problem with her calling him out.
Yeah. So, I'm always happy to share people who might disagree with me. CN said Dave continues to be biased. He called Jen performative by planning receipts. Well, I don't know if I said the P word performative. I might have said, virtue signaling. But here's the deal. I'm historically sympathetic to the person getting bashed. Yeah. Tino, Greg, I'm historically, and by the way, it's always men, because I can't think of a scenario where it's like, men take one on the, they take it on the chin. We know the audience is 90% women.
There's definitely one woman that you defend as well.
Caitlin.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because, well, Caitlin, listen, I'll go to bat for Caitlin all day long, especially because with the Caitlin scenario, what people don't realize is, everyone's so quick to go, oh, how could she say that? When you're going for a joke, the side of your brain that's like, is this a good idea? Isn't working. It's why you get burned. That's why no comedian can ever do anything on TV anymore, because they've all said things they regret. But either way, so I empathize with people, but no, I don't think, here's the deal, right? Like Jen, I think when it came down to Sam, she was ready to have her moment. You're going on live TV or, pre-taped live. They're going for their moment. Jen's coming out guns a-blazing to Sam after Sam was like really humble to everyone. And she might be right. Maybe he's playing it to camera, but from the PR perspective, Sam came out looking pretty good, after everyone grilled him. He's like, I'm a piece of crap. I understand. I get it. With Devin, he didn't come off looking bad. Like he wasn't like yelling back at her. He took it. He didn't have a good explanation. And I thought she looked fine. I mean, she asked great questions. She kind of laid some traps for him. So I don't think I'm biased against Jen at all. I think she did perfectly fine this season. If you're going to criticize Jen for anything, it's the fact that she brought these guys into the end. She brought these guys into the end. That's on her, right?
It is on her, but I think what she said at the very end before they signed off, when they asked her, how do you feel? And she's like, look, that guy that you saw me propose to, that's the guy I fell for. But that guy didn't exist from basically the time we left Hawaii. So I can't fault her for falling for Devin, because when I watched the show this season, it all made sense to me why she picked him. She was defending him from the very beginning. In the very first couple episodes, when Sam was calling him out and Thomas was calling him out, Jen was always coming to Devin's defense. Devin was the first guy to express his feelings towards her. Like, I totally understood when she said, yeah, I don't regret falling for that guy, but that guy doesn't exist because I never saw him once the cameras were off. So I can't blame her for falling for him for that, because it's got every line in the book.
It's kind of like, very, very different, but the way Zach Shallcross felt during the fantasy suite with Rachel Recchia, which is that you were a different person off camera. It doesn't always mean that you're a bad person. It just means when cameras are rolling, people they're very, it's like your first day of high school. You're like, oh, is everyone watching me? You're like, you can be kind of different. But obviously, throughout a full season, you would hope that someone regresses to their norm of who they are. Now, the irony with Jen is, and again, I'm sure I'm getting blasted by people, but give some fucking credit for trying to make this a little more interesting than everyone just going, Devin bad. You know what I mean? Like, give us some fucking credit, because we could all just say Devin bad, but I'm trying to be a little bit more three-dimensional here. When it comes to Jen, the first thing she ever said as Bachelorette was, I want a guy with a big personality, and then cut to Fantasy Suites. Wow, Devin's got a pretty big personality. It's like, all right, ladies, maybe don't go for the guy with the biggest personality. You know what I mean? Come for us medium-sized kings out here.
Well, this statement that you have on the this comment that you pulled up, isn't it funny she ended up with 2 unavailable men? It's no accident. I mean, Devin is unavailable now, but we have to talk about what happened between March 26th and May 16th. At no point was Devin unavailable to her during that. He gave her everything that she wanted. Marcus was the one that from the very beginning till the very end, even sitting on the couch, was the one that was unavailable to her. Her brother told her, hey, you've always been attracted to emotionally unavailable men, and I'm afraid you're going down that same road with Marcus. Hell, from Marcus's speech with her and the two of them talking when she let him go, and then him on the couch tonight, I'm still kind of confused on what Marcus's deal was. I don't know. I'm confused. I don't know what his answer is. I don't know what he was talking about.
He needs like ayahuasca, and he needs
therapy. Yeah. He's not built for this show.
Look, everyone needs therapy. We all need it. We all do. We all have weird things. I'm sure Marcus probably had no idea. And maybe watching this back will be a good thing, where he, same thing like when Greg Grippo watched it back. He goes, boy, I didn't realize I was so hung up about X, Y, or Z. But this is what I don't get. And I appreciate Abigail's comment, but she says, Dave, you need to hold people accountable. Why am I supposed to hold, what's my job to hold anyone accountable? It's like, what are we supposed to say about Devin? I don't even think I follow him on Instagram. For $1 million, I couldn't tell you his last name. He looks like Pete Davidson. That's all I know about the guy. He maybe audiences will chill out on him and he'll be on Paradise. I mean, what are the odds you think he'll be on Paradise?
Well, if Maria's there, looks like he will be. I don't know. I mean, this guy, I think people would be fine with him going on. I think people want to see him on their TV. There will be people that say, I never want to see this guy again, but this show, I'm sure, wants him. I just have no idea where his head is at after this. And remember, Paradise doesn't film till next June. I mean, we're going to have a whole slew of Grant's women, and then I'm assuming the next Bachelorette is going to come from Grant's women, and we're going to have a group of new guys that are from the next Bachelorette season, along with who was the Bachelor in this? Joey?
Yeah.
Joey this year? Jesus.
Right.
And then Joey's women. So there's going to be so many people. If you don't have Devin, you can still produce a great Paradise season. It's next June. We're 10 months away from them filming Paradise. I have no idea where Devin's head is going to be at or whatever, or if people are just going to move on or forget what he did or whatever, or not be as, we're in the moment right now. It doesn't help that your lead was crying for basically an hour straight on the After the Final Rose because of how the guy who she was engaged to treated her. That's why I think it's not like we're just dumping on Devin because it's easy. He's given us reason to. He just didn't follow through with anything. And I think people feel sorry for Jen right now. She's crying up a storm. Like when she came out to talk to Marcus, somebody texted me and was like, I don't know if you recognize this, Steve, but Jen has bags under her eyes, and she's been crying this whole time before she came out and saw Marcus. And it never really dawned on me. And then when she went out there for Devin, I was like, she doesn't look happy at all.
Yeah, I mean, you saw her. They cut to her. They messed
before
up.
They went to commercial break, right? She's in the back.
They meant to have the light on, and the light went out, and they messed that up. But hey, whatever they're gonna do. But yeah, she's panicking now. Jack Crackall and Pop says, Dave, you are really biased. I mean, who am I biased to? It's not like Devin's my cousin. I don't know either one of them. I'm trying. I think people in this audience, and they might. You can either love me or hate me for it. But for someone said, oh, Dave, you're trying to be like Nick because you're trying to be controversial. Why? Because I don't have the full story. Just because Devin didn't get the story out doesn't mean we have the full story. All I'm saying is people come back to me in 3 months once we've heard all the podcast rounds, and then we'll continue the discussion. People almost act like you and I aren't going to have any content to make after tomorrow. We're going to continue to talk about stuff like this. Contestants are going to come out. People are going to say whatever they say. They're going to dance on its grave, and then we're going to get some more sound clips from it.
I might find out more. Like I said, I was DMing with somebody during the finale tonight, hearing something that I haven't heard all season long or ever since, Devin was a contestant. So I'm following up on that, seeing if I can get any sort of information out of that. And I'll put that out there, but it's not positive for Devin. And it's just, it's making him look, it's making everything that Jen said tonight even more true, because she just said it tonight. And we, as the viewing audience, just accept it because she is the one who's hurt in this situation. And she laid it out there. Basically, right when we left Hawaii, you had one foot out the door. Less calls, less interest in me. And I'm watching it back. And I think the one thing that really struck me tonight is her saying every Monday night, I had to sit there and rewatch you telling me all these positive things that you were going to do for our relationship. And when the show ended, you did none of it. So it just makes him seem like a con artist.
Yeah,
Like,
I would like to know if he started pulling away, at what point that would have been in the show, just to see if there was something that he saw, because whatever insecurity he has on the show. And by the way, I don't even think this is me playing devil's advocate. I'm just asking questions about things that we don't have the answers to. But like, at what point did that start happening? Did it happen as, because according to her, it was like immediately he said he actually never loved her. Did he say that? Because he was saying live, in the interview, I think he said he loved her. All of these specifics, because, you get a lot of people that you interview and you go, did you really love that person? Did you really feel engaged? And in hindsight, people go, no, I was kind of caught up in the moment. So I think it's easy. I just think it's easy for her to be really mad at Devin when Marcus was one good conversation away from being a possible finalist. Like, she said, I love you to Marcus first. It's almost like we're forgetting that because of how it ended. But like Marcus, if this were a race, Marcus was right on Devin's ass. So maybe Devin got the hunch like, oh boy, he got out of it and he goes, I don't like the way this makes me feel. The show is so toxic. I don't know why Devin pulled away. The right thing would have been to just fly to her and hash it out that way. Absolutely. But
Well, I think one answer we actually did get tonight was Jesse asked her point blank, if Marcus would have pronounced his love to you earlier, would we have a different result? And she said, no, because it just wasn't there. Now, I mean, you could say that, but then we're putting words in her mouth. If you say, well, she's just lying to cover herself. I mean, but then we're answering for her, and I don't want to do that. She answered the question.
But why would she say? And again, maybe this is editing. We don't know. But she did say to Marcus she loved him first. I mean, she's smart enough to know you don't throw that around as the lead. I mean, remember up until a couple of years ago, you would have never had the lead telling two people they loved them. Here's a question I have for you, because God forbid I ask these questions. People call me a men's rights activist, but are the female leads judged differently for saying I love you to two men versus if it was Zach Shell Cross who says I love you to two women? Or are we just past that point and love means nothing anymore?
Well, on this show, obviously there's a bubble and you can develop strong feelings for more than one person. I don't think that's far-fetched to think that you can. But my whole thing with this particular situation is, while she said it to Marcus never reciprocated it until basically the last second. And it was too late at that point. And then, like I said, Devin was the one giving her everything she wanted from hometown dates on. I mean, that was really early. Jeremy didn't say it at hometowns. Jonathan couldn't get there. Marcus couldn't get there. But here's Devin just pounding it. And then I don't want to say he got mad at Jen, but he was basically bothered by the fact that she wouldn't say it back to him. Like, he kept begging for it in so many ways without getting on his knees and begging, but he was basically begging, please give me something in return. And she gave it to him in return. And then he doesn't follow through on anything. Like, I think this is a different conversation if their relationship went great for a month or two after the show. The fact that it went so south so quickly, and we found that out tonight. We didn't know. I didn't know when it had gone south. But the fact that it went so south so quickly makes me think he is a liar. And he was a liar the whole time, and he never believed any of that stuff he was love bombing her with. There's no way you can say all that stuff to her from hometown dates on, and the second the show is over, immediately remove yourself. I don't care if you were in that bubble. You still had to have some sort of feelings, some sort of respect for this woman you just spent 2 months with, and you told over and over and over and over and over again that you were in love with her, and then you get home and you barely want to call her back. Like, I think he conned her. I think he wanted to win a television show. I think it was an ego thing with him because he's a guy who admittedly in the past has said, I was the fat kid growing up. I've been rejected a few times. He had never watched the show. I mean, I think he just wanted to win a show. And then he got on there with guys like Sam that were, pushing his buttons, and he's like, I want to beat him. And
so
he did.
I think subconsciously, I agree with you subconsciously. And again, sometimes I'm optimistic to a fault here. I do believe people try their best. And I think if he was conning her, he would have tried a better way. If he had enough foresight to con her, I believe he would have had enough foresight to break up with her in a better way. But I mean, like, what other relationships ended as abruptly? Katie's and Blake's? Was Katie conning Blake? Or did it just kind of realize like, oh boy, this ain't it? When someone gets the ick, as the kids like to call it, did something put it this way, Steve, right? It's all an experiment, right? So look, people left and right, they can hate me all they want, right? But I got to be honest, it's all an experiment. The experiment really begins when they leave the show and they go to their real life with their cell phones and their family and like their neediness levels. So he kept on saying, and again, people might shit all over this, but like, sorry for trying to really examine this. But he kept on saying, well, you were sacrificing who you really were for me. And I'm like, what does that mean? That's the question that we didn't get from Jesse. And I understand, because he's kind of like, he's not exactly there to go too far off script, but like, what did he mean? What was happening that made her sacrifice who she is for him?
And why did everything change? Like I said, that was the one question we didn't get answered. We know that Jen said you had one foot out the door the second we left Hawaii. I wanted him to be held to his feet, held to the fire. Like, okay, Devin, why did it change? Why did you say all those things? And then seemingly right after Hawaii, you get home, you get back into the real world. We get it. There's a lot of like, whoa, what was I just in? Everyone says that on this show. You get out back into the real world. You're like, oh my God, it was like I was thrown into a tornado for 2 months, and then I was just spit back out, and I have to get my bearings about me. I just want to know why. Like, why did you just were you not attracted to her anymore? Like I said, did you take beer goggles off and you're just like, oh wait, I don't find her attractive.
By the way, that happens. Your dopamine, you have to love someone like your best friend, right? Like my wife and I, you have to enjoy someone's company when that dopamine crashes and that kind of new shiny toy is gone. That's just the world you have to live in. And that's why you shouldn't be engaged to someone in 3 weeks, because sometimes you got to go, all right. I mean, like, hey, God bless it. I love my wife. I love my baby. We have a happy life. We got married like 8 years into sometimes it goes slower. This is what I love about podcasting, right? He had 2 minutes to answer these questions with Jen interrupting him. God bless her. On a show that's live on TV, they have the ticker going down, going to commercial break in 19 seconds. And he's supposed to feel that way. I want to hear what he has to say after the 10-minute word salad, and he gets his thoughts out, because I'm not expecting him to be the most well-spoken person. I just want to know the full story. And it really took us like a year to get Tino's story. Tino fell on the sword for Rachel. He said all these things. And then like a year later, we're like, oh, your story's way more reasonable than the one we heard. And it's normally that's the case. I'm not saying Devin's will be that way. I just think, I think we'll get a story where he was like, yeah, I was scared shitless in real world when I saw that, I don't know. But again, but and by the way, Steve, I'm not using this as a crutch here, but like, I got a 4-month-old baby. You think I'm watching this season that closely? I've had people go, Dave, you're not giving Jen all the attention. Fuck you. I'm my kid. You know what I mean? Like, I got diapers to change. I have baby poop on my elbow. Like, just chill out. You know what I mean? Like, not everyone we don't have to be crazy. We watched a TV show. I feel like the audience goes mad, and then in 7 days they start to come back and go, yeah, well, okay. No, it's like, I get it. We're all heated. We all take personal offense. Like, our childhood wounds come out when we watch this. Like, we're getting dumped at senior prom again. And I know. Yeah, I mean, like, then shouldn't have followed Maria. You know what I mean? But like the club thing, I want more. I want to know more. What time of day was it? Did was it prepaid? Well, I want to know more.
I'm wondering. I mean, that's the question. Like I said, I want to know the why, and I want to know the why to the question that you had, which was, what was Jen saying that you and he was saying about her that I was making you compromise? What was the line? He was making her compromise who she was.
Yeah, that's what we need to find out.
Yeah, I want to know that why, and I want to know why his feelings changed so quickly after the show. Did he just get caught up in the moment? But like I said, I think this would have been different if they had a 2-month solid relationship and then something went south. But to hear that right away after he was so heavy at the very end of the season, pouring it on thick with her, I need some answers. But in the meantime, I'm allowed to be like, dude, you did not do well up there. And I guess he's under pressure, and Jesse was against him, and the whole crowd was against him, and Jen's against him, but it's not like they were against him for no reason. He gave them plenty of reason. You got Bachelorette up there crying her eyes out because this guy treated her like shit. Like,
yeah, look, I mean, I know it might not sound this way, but I'm not defending Devin. I'm just watching a room full of people all feel a certain way, and I'm just asking questions. Now, I got people saying, Dave, why are you so mad? I'm sorry. This is the way I talk. This is how it goes if you're new here. And I'm not, and by the way, this is incredible. We have 3,500 people in the chat. I do want to promote your podcast. I'm sure everyone already knows it here, but Reality Steve Podcast, go listen in daily content and then some, and get all of your content. I love the new logo here. Steve's a cartoon now, so that's good.
Like that? Yeah, I got my daily that'll be up tomorrow morning. I haven't recorded it yet because I had to wait till the show ended so I can give my thoughts. It's probably going to be a lot of repetitive. I mean, if you're listening to this right now, you can listen to my daily roundup tomorrow. I'd like you to, but it's going to be basically what I just said here on this podcast. But I have a weekly podcast that comes out every Thursday. Dave, I'm actually going to Las Vegas on Thursday morning this week for my annual NFL opening weekend of NFL season trip with the guys.
You got the good pool?
So, yeah, we got the cabana again on Friday. So I'll be there on Friday.
Same waitress?
Yep, same waitress. Alina is going to be our waitress.
Steve's got some crushes there in Vegas on the strip.
So we got the cabana on Friday, but I'm going to be releasing it early. I'm actually talking and I'm recording it in the East Coast. We're 6 minutes from being Wednesday. Wednesday, tomorrow, I'm recording with Dotton.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so I'm recording with Dotton tomorrow. He is going to be podcast number 407, which you'll be able to see. I'm going to release it Thursday night because I want everything up and posted because I have an early flight. My flight's at 8 o'clock on Thursday morning, and that's usually when I'm posting my daily roundup and sports daily and having my YouTube stuff. So all that stuff's going to be up around midnight Central Time tomorrow night, and then I can just go to bed, wake up, and go to the airport. But going to have Dotton on the Thursday weekly podcast. So I'm excited about that. Never spoken to the guy.
Are you surprised they're still together, given the track record of all relationships?
I with Bachelorette relationships, I'm not as surprised anymore. They seem to last. Like this one was like, obviously, this was just awful. I'm trying to think of, at least Katie and Blake dated 6 months after they got engaged on the show. Yeah, they broke up in like October and they got engaged in May. So they had like 6 months together. I don't know how many times they saw each other.
We need someone to do the math on that. I thought they were one of the fastest breakups ever.
No, that's still fairly early. They didn't even last 6 months, but they definitely lasted until October because that was
you're right. That's when she would have
around the time that 12 Days of Messy started was October-ish.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, those were the glory days. But remember how everyone was so bent out of shape over that. This is the thing. Like I genuinely take the side of people overreact. And I believe that in more cases than not, people are mad at a different guy. And I just take the side of like, I think we're overreacting. But with Katie, I mean, listen, and by the way, it's so insulting to like have these long conversations and the only takeaway is Dave's a men's rights activist. Are you kidding me? Caitlin, Katie, listen, some of these people don't even like me, Steve, and I defend them still. You know what I mean? Like some of these people literally hate me, and I'm still I'm still defending them over Nick. You know what I mean? You just can't win. Like whatever. But that there's just some people just won't have good faith, I guess, in having these or maybe I've just been like watching too many political channels, but I kind of feel like I'm just trying to rationalize an irrational show. It's an irrational show. The show's insane.
The concept is ridiculous. Yes.
Would you ever in a million years, maybe your Vegas waitress, but would you ever go down to the chapel after 3 weeks of knowing somebody and propose? There's no way this would work out.
No, I mean, it's, I've said this numerous times, but this is for your audience, for those that don't understand. Like, this show is filmed over 2 months, and I've always said this. On a normal dating situation, you meet somebody. Would you ever propose to them after 8 weeks? Probably not. Yes, we hear stories every once in a while, even contestants that come on the show. Oh, my parents met and they got engaged on their 3rd date and they're still married 35 years later. You have to understand, those people are the exception to the rule. But let's just
probably hate each other too.
Let's take a normal dating situation. You meet somebody, you go out on dates, you go out every weekend for a few months. Would you propose to them after 2 months? No. But then you also got to take into consideration, not only is that what's happening on this show, but the only time you're getting to talk to this person on this show is on a group date, a cocktail after party. Maybe you get a one-on-one date, a hometown date, an overnight date. But they're also dating other people at the same time. You're not allowed to text them before you go to bed every night. You're not in that early, Me Too phase, like I call it, early in relationships, where everything that person says, you're like, oh, me too. You're like, oh, I love studying nuclear waste. Oh, really? Me too. You're just in that phase. You don't get to do that on this show. You don't get to talk to this person before you go to bed. You don't get to FaceTime them before you get to go to bed. It's not real life. This isn't the real dating world. But because some relationships have worked out because of it, Des and Chris, you can say what you want about Caitlyn, but she lasted with Sean for 3 years. I consider that a success. I mean, at least they lasted. This, Jen and Devin, complete failure. Caitlyn and Sean Booth were a success because they lasted 3 years. They weren't marriage success. I mean, Trista worked out. It's just worked out with the Bachelorettes more because I think the women take it more seriously than the Bachelor guys do. And there's a reason we've only had one Bachelor guy marry the final girl that he chose. Now we've got Zach and Joey still with their women, and they look to be on a good path. So maybe the tables are turning.
Yeah, fingers crossed, but we're in the golden, 24-month period here, right?
Yeah.
But I do love Kelsey. Oh my gosh, I love Kelsey. I really think they're great together. I'm so glad Kelsey's dad. For all we know, maybe one day he'll be the Golden Bachelor. Abigail has a great question. Did y'all hear Devin laughing at some point? Did you catch that? It was when they were going to break. I took it.
And he said, what is going on here?
Yeah, I took it as nervous laughter. You'd have to be a real diabolical person to watch Jen cry. And then, my wife and I, we've been in discussions where she's laughed, and I know it's not because she's having fun. It's because we do weird things with our bodies when we're in heightened situation. I think sometimes what the show lacks is the empathy to realize none of us know how we would be in any of these situations, Like, I would never want to go on the show and propose to someone after 3 weeks. Are you kidding me? I could not, what are you doing? I say 3 weeks, whatever it is, a month or two. Yeah. But they always end up doing it. So are they handpicking crazy people, or does the show create a scenario where crazy seems normal? And I'm sorry if these are questions that make it look like I'm apologetic towards the result, but clearly the show's a failure from the standpoint of happy relationships and a success from the standpoint of getting everyone upset to make it a show that's worth talking about.
Well, I want to bring it back to one thing when you talked about Joey. Tomorrow morning on Good Morning America, Dancing with the Stars cast is going to be announced. For those that don't know, Joey is on it. Joey is on this season. So that's going to be a test to their relationship, not because of who his partner is, because his partner is Jenna Johnson, which is Val's wife. I don't think anyone's going to be like, oh, Joey, like last year they did with Harry Jowsey and Riley. I don't think anyone's going to be like, oh, look like Joey's hitting on Jenna, and Jenna and Joey seem to be a hot couple. No, they're both, Joey's engaged to Kelsey. Jenna is married to Val. Nothing there. But just the strain it's going to put on their relationship, because he is going to be practicing 8 to 10 hours a day. She's going to be bored living out of an apartment in Los Angeles that they put all the dancers up in. And this is going to test their relationship. And I'm curious to see what happens. I'm hoping they make it through this. I'm hoping it doesn't lead to another breakup, but Sean Lowe said it best. Like, if he could take it back, he would. He would never have gone on Dancing with the Stars right after his Bachelor season because he didn't know Catherine well enough at that point, and it immediately put a strain on their relationship. And he says, if I could take it back, I wouldn't have done Dance with the Stars. Now, the difference is that was a spring season that Sean went on. So it went right into from his finale airing, he went right into the spring season of Dance with the Stars. Now they only have one a year. And Joey and Kelsey have been together since last November. Yeah. I mean, they got engaged in November. So they've had 9 months to cultivate a relationship, whereas Sean jumped right into it right after he could go public with his relationship with Catherine. So maybe this one's a little different, but yeah, Joey's going to be on Dance with the Stars.
I'm so excited for Dancing with the Stars. I will be rooting for Steven Nadorazin, the pommel
horse. Yeah.
Big. I mean, but look, my wife and I, for our wedding dance, actually trained with a Dancing with the Stars tour dancer. So one of like the ensemble dancers. And yeah, you have to just be okay letting him twirl your wife around. But it's like, to them, it's like shaking hands. It's not sexual to the dancers. And if your relationship cannot handle, but I agree what you mean. If you're in like a new relationship, I can understand. But Joey and Kelsey have been together for a good bit now. If their relationship can't handle that, it's not like, I don't think she's got a real job like in New York she has to be. She'll be there cooking him pasta so he can carbo load. You can only dance X amount of hours a day. I do understand the curse has existed, but at least now they're aware of it. And by the way, it's kind of like the Dear Shandy curse where they go, oh, every couple that goes on Dear Shandy ends up divorcing. No, every couple in Bachelor Nation ends up divorcing. So it's not Dear Shandy. It's not Dancing with the Stars. It's the fact that this show doesn't breed a successful.
Is there a Dear Shandy curse? I didn't even know about this.
Oh, they talk about it because they interview everybody and 90% of the couples fail. So it's like clear. And I was like, hey, I was on Dear Shandy. We made a kid. So maybe that's the you go on Dear Shandy, you might make a child.
Were you, now that I think about it, when you went on Dear Shandy, was it pre-Tasha getting pregnant? Did you go on when she was pregnant, or was it post-kid?
I think it might have been even before we got married or right away, but we had been together forever. I mean, that was all. But what's so funny is people watch the show and they want to like look at things to see if there's cracks in the relationship. And I'm like, listen, we fart in front of each other. So you're not going to find a crack in this relationship. I'm sorry. But that's not Shandy. That's just the audience. So like they want to find drama where there is none. No, look, it's an interesting, I don't want to keep you any longer, but we've been an hour. It's an interesting, conversation. I appreciate your thoughts. I mean, anything else you want to plug?
Well, no, I mean, what I mentioned earlier, my daily roundup will be up tomorrow morning. Probably a lot of these thoughts repeated. And then Thursday, everything will be up a little earlier than normal. It's going to be up around midnight, Wednesday night into Thursday morning because of my early flight on Thursday morning to Vegas. I want to just get it all up and out there. So my daily roundup, my sports daily, and podcast number 407 with Dotton, which I'm recording in about 10 hours from now, will be up midnight Wednesday night, and you can check that out. And then, that's all on my YouTube channel, Reality Steve. Check it out. You can watch it on video. It'll be in your podcast feed in the morning on Apple Podcast or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. So you're basically. Yeah.
And by the way, I still want to do a joint show in Texas if your audience hasn't canceled me yet. So maybe, now that the baby's learning how to fly, maybe we can make that happen sooner than later.
Yeah. Addison Improv. I'm sure we can get it done. Do it on like a Tuesday night. It's the only live podcast I've done and I did it 6-7 years ago with Olivia Caridi, and it's a good audience. We had like 75 or 80 people that showed up, and we just broadcasted for like, I don't know, it was either 60 or 90 minutes on stage. It was fun. It was good times.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, I'm going to wake up tomorrow going, did that ending really happen last night? This was just a wild one. I don't think we've seen, I don't
seen anything like this. I mean, I'm trying to think of the word, like the worst after the Final Roses, where it was just a complete disaster like this, where the lead was just Courtney and, Courtney will tell you, her and Ben's wasn't great because she went on that stage that night not really knowing what was going to happen and didn't even know where their relationship was. And then when they showed them their proposal from Switzerland, she goes, it made me, feel a little bit better. It brought me back into my feels a little bit. She goes, but honestly, when I went out there, I didn't know what was going to happen. And, but it wasn't nothing. I just thinking about it off the top of my head, nothing has been like this.
We've never seen right. It's not
that was literally crying for an hour.
Yeah, Ari was a bad. Like people have said, there's a lot of ones out there that were not good, but this was just like sort of different.
It was different. You know why? Because the Ari and Becca breakup was pre-recorded, it was filmed, and then we got to see it. And then this was all happening live tonight on stage, even though they had their conversations and they knew they were already broken up. The fact that it happened live, I think, is why it was so kind of surreal, because we've just never seen it happen live before. Every other breakup, Rachel and Tino, Becca and Ari, Jason and Melissa, everything was pre-recorded. This was our first one that was happening in real time. So I think that's what added to it.
Yeah. Well, look, put another one down. The old Steve. What's your spoiler streak at now? It's doing pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, this one was weird because I posted on, this final rose ceremony where Jen proposed to Devin was May 16th. I posted the spoiler that Jen was engaged to Devin on May 31st. Like, it's been out there for literally 2 weeks before you even saw a commercial for this season. You knew who the final couple was. And then it turns into, well, where are they now? And like the rumblings happened 2 weeks ago, and you got the TikTok gossip monger going online and saying that, for Devin's friend told him that he broke up with her. And it's just like, okay, well, I don't know. I hadn't heard that until Monday. And then I posted it yesterday that, yeah, they have broken up. That part was right. I was wrong about I wasn't wrong because I didn't know. I didn't know what this thing that they were teasing all season was, the thing that's never happened in the history of the show, which was her proposing to him, which, probably made things worse for her. I had some minor details wrong this season, but the main thing you've known before you ever saw a commercial for this season, which was the final two, which is what everyone wants to know every season, was Jen and Devin. And I was told after last season, when I had butchered the Daisy and Joey thing for 3 months, I was told that no one's ever going to listen to me anymore and I've got no credibility. It's just like, it's like the same thing. I get one spoiler wrong and everybody thinks that, oh my gosh, no one's ever going to listen to me anymore. And yet they're waiting with bated breath every season for me to give my spoiler. And I got it right again. So like I say, every season is different. Because I didn't know that Joey was engaged to Kelsey until mid-February, had nothing to do with whether I knew Jen's spoiler was right. I was told it. I heard it at the time. My sources were solid and I was confident enough to run with it, and it was right. So it had nothing to do with 3 months earlier being wrong about Joey and Kelsey, Well,
listen, I love nothing better than a reality Steve victory lap. So go take one. And thanks for joining us. And of course, we'll all look forward to your podcast in the morning, and have fun with dying and have fun in Vegas. And we'll see you soon. All right.
I'll take a video of me floating in the pool. Just send it to you on my back. All right, man.
All right, buddy. Take care.
See you.
All right. Reality Steve, everybody. Oh my gosh. What an evening. I'll talk for a few more minutes. Try to answer some questions. We have some super chats there. Look, hey guys, I mean, what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? I gotta tell you how I feel. I've said this, a lot of you got, we've been averaging around 1,000 views on our Bachelorette recaps. So by all means, I'm covering Jen's season. This is the first season I've got a kid, so I'm not covering it maybe with as close of an inspection as past seasons. I think Jen did a good job. I think she's one of the most beautiful bachelorettes that we've had. All of my criticisms have been focused on the way the show has put her in a bad spot. And I think people have a hard time criticizing the show here. The show put her in a really bad spot. They didn't even have a batch of guys that were sort of cast for her. So it's no surprise that this is the best we got. It's almost like if Jen were a chef, the show didn't even provide her the right groceries to cook with. Does this make sense? Like, Jen should have had a lot, and by the way, I don't necessarily blame the show, because they had, they picked their Bachelorette, like, literally, what was it 72 hours before filming? I mean, that's insane. They got to run to H&M to get wardrobe and this and that. So as far as Jen goes, I'm just not surprised, because what am I supposed to say? Like, Katie Thurston's season was wildly sloppy. Tayshia, Claire, Rachel, Gabby. I mean, they're all insane seasons because it's an insane show. I sometimes wonder if I'm looking at this, and please let me know. Don't stop yourself now. But I wonder if I'm looking at this in a way more realistic way than some people want to, where I go, look, dating's hard enough in the normal world. But if you go to a bar, you might make eye contact with 50 different men. That's more than Jen gets. Jen gets 30 guys, and then she has to pick from there. But you go into a bar, and while you don't even have to introduce yourself to those 50 different men, you're just walking to the bathroom, you're going to get a land shark, whatever the hell you're doing. You are being presented all these different options. And then when the spark hits, then you take it from there. But you're not proposing to that person you met at the bar. That's just one night at a bar. You might do that for 6 months or 3 years before you find the right guy. So I just watched the show. I'm an optimistic person. I think people try their best, but I watch the show and I go, look, what do we expect? I mean, did they cast guys that were ready to fall in love? Maybe Jen didn't, maybe Jeremy, maybe Jonathan might have been one of those guys. You know what I mean? I'd love to know in the comments section what you think is going to happen with Jonathan. Please let me know. TJC said, we all knew Jen was set up for failure. I mean, look, yeah, I'm not, by the way, I gotta go easier on my voice because I have like hours more content to make tomorrow. Bruce said the show process is fundamentally flawed. Paige said, see Rob Mill's tweet. I already saw Rob's earlier tweet. Do we have a new tweet from Rob Mill? I'm going to check that out right now. Rob Mill had posted a very cryptic tweet. I don't think there's another one here, but just give me a second to share this tab instead. And he said, Devin, you had the opportunity to confess if you did anything else. Yeah, listen, Devin might have done something else. We just don't know. I'm not gonna charge Devin with a bachelor crime here until I know what the heck went down. Let's read a few more comments here. Emmy said Maria is mean for following Devin. Is that what happened? Did Maria follow Devin? We know that Devin followed Maria. Ingrid said it was hard. Hold on. By the way, I'm literally having a hard time seeing this because the lights are, okay. Ingrid said it was hard to watch Jen sobbing and then have to watch her propose after she had said how hard it was for her to see the show on Mondays. I agree. I genuinely wonder why they aired the proposal other than because they had a contract with Neil Lane. Like, I don't think that's a strong reason. They probably could have bought their way out of the contract and said, here's your $50,000 back. We didn't get you this season. You know what I mean? Like if no one proposes, what would happen then? Booyah says, I have to say, I don't think Dave likes Jen based on the comments that he's making. I get considering Devin's perspective and all, but at a certain point, we only have the facts that we have. Listen, I don't blame Jen for anything. Let me get out of this screen. I don't blame her for crying. I so relate to those emotions. Are you kidding me? I absolutely. Emmy said, so glad that Jen blocked Maria. Did Jen block Maria? See, these are all things. I've been live all day. I don't even know half of this stuff, if it's true or not. Bruce said they could have showed him picking out the ring without showing the proposal. Yeah, but I'm sure no, because you know why? And again, they go on People Magazine the next day. They show the wedding, they engage, they do it's a whole thing, guys. This is corporate America. You know what I mean? You're not looking at it from the machine that is Disney's, ABC's The Bachelorette. Okay. So I don't know how much money or favors are involved with people getting the article about the ring. I mean, I know this because I cover it every season. Jen said, yeah, watching her ball was tough. So I can't, the comments are coming in so fast. This is great. Madeline said she unfollowed Maria, but that was back when with the Call Her Daddy drama. Yeah. You know what? It's so funny to see that so far in hindsight. And again, can I be completely honest here? with all respect to Maria, I don't know if I would have enjoyed her season in hindsight. I don't know if I can't even imagine Daisy's season. I'm not genuinely the type of person that really cares who's cast. I loved when Katie Thurston was cast because I thought she, brought something new to the show. I'm mainly indifferent, like Joey, Zach. I'm just like the lead. Traditionally, at least for the men, the lead on the show is more the male lead is more like a empty coat rack that the show can place its bullshit on. That's what they want. They want the Zach Shellcrosses. They don't ever really choose. I mean, I think Joey was a little bit of sort of a different casting, but everyone's different. I mean, they chose Clayton Echard. They had a reason for that. They were like, well, we wanted a guy that was going to just go, hardcore at, being manipulated, really. I didn't see Jen as the type that would be manipulated. I've said this before. I loved them beginning to bring out the Vietnamese culture. You guys might not know this. I've talked about this before. I said I had, because my father passed away, a stepmom from Vietnam. And my stepdad fought in Vietnam. My stepmom was Vietnamese. My father fought in Vietnam. And I love that they brought that culture to the show. I love that they had conversations about Judaism with Jeremy, I believe, right? I like that they're doing this. Nobody's wanted the show to diversify more than I have with regards to, the big guy from episode 1. Put him on Paradise. I can't believe they haven't invited him yet. All right, let me try to continue to read some of your comments. I appreciate the super chats. I think I already covered some of these, but Big Ralph said, after getting publicly humiliated last week, this is the best night of Sam's life. Yeah, Sam got lucky tonight. Swift said, do you think Marcus sticks around in the reality TV world? I don't think so. I see him. Oh man, I'm kind of remember the guy. There's a buff guy in Venice who hates The Bachelor. I see Marcus as a guy that avoids all of this, but I could be wrong. Big Ralph also said $10. Hey, thanks, Big Ralph. Said poor Jen is a heat-seeking missile for unavailable guys. Sometimes they are easy to spot like Marcus and Sam, but she still finds even the more well-hidden ones like Devin. Well, Big Ralph, I appreciate your opinion, but I think a lot of guys that go on the show are in that boat, that they think they're ready for it and they're not. I think a lot of guys are in that boat. They're all pretty young. Jen's young, although she's not nearly as young as I thought she was, which, by the way, is a credit to her. She looks great. Lauren said, I never understood the concept of falling in love with someone in a month and expect to have a happy ending. Yeah, I mean, Lauren, it can happen. It just doesn't happen often. 8 weeks is long, quick to really fall in love. Not only is 8 weeks short, but she's dating 30 guys. Coastline said culture was a great highlight for the season, including the international cultures. I mean, look, that's one of the best parts of the show is when they travel and get to show some unique cultures from different parts of the world. I think that's one of the best parts of the show. I'm trying to see what else he got here. Ike said people get engaged in real life in 8 weeks. Yeah, but again, when you're dating somebody and you're really into it, you get to see them a hell of a lot more. Some of these guys literally only got 2 or 3 dates. Some of them didn't even get 1 date. You know what I mean? Let me just here's my ask for you guys. If you enjoy my content, because by the way, you guys made me sweat a little bit, and I appreciate that to an extent. I still have a podcast I have to record tonight, but if you appreciate my content, I do have my podcast, which is available wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want, you can actually scan this QR code. Let me make it bigger here. You can scan this QR code and it'll take you to the podcast. I will have more thoughts on tomorrow morning's episode. And to be quite honest, I'm sure I'll have them for several more episodes. We've got a lot we'll be covering on the Rush Hour podcast. We've got Elton John going nearly blind in one eye. We've got an update on the San Francisco wide receiver who was shot and is doing better. We've got some interesting updates in the Bravo world. So we'll have a lot to get into there, but you can go check that out. But yeah, lots of questions. Like Steve said, Devin will probably do Nick Viall's podcast, which I'd rather him do Nick's podcast. my back is sweating. I'd rather him do Nick's podcast than like a Bachelor happy hour, because as much as I don't like, I'm not a huge fan of Nick. At the same time, I think he can get a good interview out of people. Emily said you have patients from Vietnam. I've never been. I've been very close to Vietnam. When I stayed in Phuket, I actually got engaged in Phuket, which again, not that close, but not that far. I mean, we almost made it. We almost flew there for a 2-day trip, but we couldn't get it in the books. But either way, my father, he served in the Vietnamese War, died of PTSD and Agent Orange. And if you think the American troops came back wounded and with a lot of problems, so did the Vietnamese, right? It's a gosh dang tragedy, that war. There were no winners. There were no winners in that war. And sadly, I'm like a weird byproduct of that, having an absentee father I never really got to know. But again, I would love so much more to, if I ever, interview Jen, I would really love to know more about her Vietnamese upbringing. Has she been, has she visited? What does her mom ever go back? More about, things like that. Paige said, how do you die of PTSD? Well, it's just a condition. It's a condition that leads to other illness. So I can't tell you exactly how you die of it. But it was listed, Agent Orange and PTSD were listed on his death certificate. Yeah. Along with, gosh, I mean, who knows what else? Those guys, they didn't even know for decades. They called it shell shock. It was just a gosh dang tragedy. It was a gosh dang tragedy, is what it was. But I've seen people have like severe PTSD reactions, and let me tell you something. It's scary. I have the most minimal of PTSD from an accident I was in. And it only shows up when I try to make left-hand turns in an intersection, because that's the way I was sideswiped. It's something, you can be strong, you can be a strong person, but it's your brain imprinting something. It's just like a glitch, Layla said Phuket is across the Gulf of Thailand from Vietnam. Yeah, it's not that far away. It was only like we were going to try to fly there, and it was like, I think like an hour flight. But Miss Daniel said my siblings are Vietnamese, different dads. I love seeing Vietnamese culture on the season. The Vietnamese culture is amazing, and if anyone can get the chance to travel there, like I said, I only made it to Thailand, but we really want to go back and give a full trip to Vietnam. The reason we didn't skip, because we were like, why leave Thailand? We were only there for a week or whatever, and it's so far away. But anyhow, I do appreciate the thoughts, the questions, and we always we always keep these things. I don't even want to use the word controversial, because I'm not trying to stir up any controversy. I've just learned you have to be okay. And again, for those that, know me on the Patreon and know me, it doesn't mean I always am okay with this, but you have to be okay risking being offensive to be authentic. And by that, I don't mean being an asshole. I do not like to see someone like Jen cry, or anyone in the Bachelor world. But if there's a scenario that we're looking at, if you think you got the full story from watching that, I disagree. Is what I'm trying to say. I disagree. We did not get the full story. First of all, network TV sucks. We will get the full story probably when we get like a 2-hour podcast. He'll go on one, she'll respond to it on another. This is how it works in today's world, is breaking it down. And, we'll be here to give the commentary for that. Reg Angel said, no way we got the full story. And again, the full story might be worse for Devin. I'm not hiding, going back to some of these, I'm going to go back to some of these other pages. I'm not hiding the Robert Mills thing. What? Devin, you had the opportunity to confess. What did they want Devin to confess? I mean, this alone, I'm telling you right now, we'll start the day off tomorrow with a Bachelorette recap. That's where I just share my standard notes. I don't give any opinions about the outside show. Just make a quick video, standard notes. That's it. Inclusive, what we watched on TV. This right here, oh, sorry, I got the wrong one. This right here will absolutely be its own video, and possibly the most interesting video. I got to get my X-Files music here, because what was said or went down here will be very, very interesting. I cannot imagine. Well, just put it this way. Like I said, we don't have the full story. If I had to bet on it, I cannot imagine Robert Mills would post this if there wasn't more stuff coming out. But also at the same time, let's not pretend Robert Mills, God bless him, I don't know who he is, but he's also part of the show that let Jen get humiliated in front of the whole audience. You know what I mean? Don't get mad at me that the show did that. I don't work for the show, you know? And also, I was never a fan of Devin, and I'm still not. But do I think he's better or worse than Sam? No, I know. And I also didn't think Sam was like this terrible guy. I'll tell you what, I hate to say this. When it comes to someone like Sam. He just came off very low IQ. And a lot of guys that go on the show, they've got, plenty of free time. Maybe they're not working, and I just look at Sam and I go, he said a lot of the, keep doing the real thing, whatever the hell his quote was. Right. And I'm going, oh, this is somebody that doesn't have a large vocabulary. That's all I'm thinking. So I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm not seeing him as a bad guy. When Jen goes, you can't tell me after 10 minutes why you love me. And I'm thinking, it's because Sam doesn't have the full use of the English language yet. That's what I'm thinking. And maybe it's because Sam's a good looking guy and he gets to go to the bars and the ladies he picks up don't really care if he knows a lot of words. You know what I mean? Chicago Girl said, Dave, you'll need some tea with honey. Oh, yeah. Wait till you hear me on the morning rush hour. By the way, I'm bloodshot. Did I get, you know what it was? I mowed the lawn today and I got a sunburn. That's what it is. I was like, I'm looking really red. Is my camera different? I definitely have a sunburn. But let's see if there's any other comments. I appreciate you guys sticking around. And Angela said, when I said in the beginning, I don't like Devin. Devin's not all the trolls on here. Said, oh no, Devin's nice. Devin's good for her. Devin loves her BS. Look, it's tough because I make spoiled content and unspoiled content. So I've kind of had to play the unspoiled audience and just say, kind of be neutral on him. But I still, if you had to ask me, Dave, what do you really think about Devin? I don't have an answer for you. And to be quite honest, if that really pisses people off, I don't know what to tell them, because I don't have an answer for you on Devin. Now, if I had a 25-year-old daughter, would I be racing to set her up with Devin? No. But, and again, these are the questions you ask on the show with Devin, or people like Greg Grippo, or people like, way more toxic. I'm trying to think of more toxic guys. Greg Grippo wasn't toxic at all, but oh my gosh, you guys clearly don't remember. Bruce, do you remember this? Sarah, do you remember this? Winks. When I was trying to say Greg Grippo wasn't the worst guy in the world, people lost their mind over me. I've even defended, and you might not believe this, but you can check the tape. I've defended Victoria Fuller, and even people like Maddie Pruitt. I go, look, I bet you I could have a good conversation with her. I just completely disagree with a lot of her, foundational thoughts. But these aren't people that are gonna not be able to exist in the world. They just got picked apart for how they did while they were sleep deprived with a lot of drinks. Ike and Ike said, Greg is an F-boy though. Maybe he is. Yeah, Bruce, the great gaslighting debates. I mean, to be fair, Katie Thurston completely misused the word gaslighting, and I said it then, and I'll say it again. Greg was never gaslighting her, at least not by that definition. CM said, by Jen's own admission, she's terrible at choosing men, and obviously she can't. I lost it. I lost what you said. And obviously she can't learn from her own mistakes. Well, change doesn't happen overnight. You know what I mean? And, we've all dated emotionally unavailable people. I'm codependent. I always want to date someone who doesn't want to date me, all those types of things. Alex said, you should make an I told you so throwback compilation. No, it's like, and I'm not trying to, I'll just say this. I'm not trying to be right. I'm just saying what happens is audiences collectively in a mob-like form get really upset, and the world is generally a little more nuanced than that. is what I'm trying to say. The world's a little more nuanced. I love that you guys have held on. Peyton said, Devin appears to me as emotionally immature with low emotional IQ. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not here to be like, who's got a lower IQ? I'm just saying from what we saw on the show with Sam, this whole like, kept on saying the same, like, do the damn thing, whatever whatever word he was saying. I already forgot what it was. I think I might have saved it here. Yeah, here it is. The main thing, right? Here it is. Hold on. I got it for you. When you see this, it's like, okay, I mean, maybe there's more to him, but we only got to see, like, put it this way. Don't get mad at me if the only version of Sam that I saw was one that was like not exactly the one that would I would let manage my investment portfolio. I just go, look, we just saw him repeat a lot of the same things. We saw him kind of word salad around, and I don't know. So but I'll admit this, I've been wrong so many times by people. I can't think of one. But no, I've been wrong about people where I go, I don't know if I get the right vibes from this person. And then they turn out to be really great. And I go, well, look, blame the fact that I'm judging as a human based on the show that we see. What I will be judging on next, starting tomorrow or whenever the podcasts start to come out, will be based on who these guys are in a long form conversation. Did we get a full 60 seconds straight from Devin? I don't think Jen really interrupted a lot, but it's like, what, they do this thing where they try to protect each other. And, hey, Stutz is in the room. Oh, good to see you, Stutz. I'm killing myself because I have so much work to do. So let's just go a couple more minutes. Thank you in advance, or thank you for the super chats you guys gave and for sticking around, but I still have to record the podcast. I'm going to take a break after this, go check on the baby, and probably go have a tea. Stutz said you were unspoiled for the first time. Teresa said ref hat. Yeah, the ref hat is not in this room, but I could bring it up for you tomorrow. By the way, we found a tick on the baby today. I'll get into that in tomorrow's Patreon. We don't think it bit him. We just found it. Boy, scary stuff. Layla said Sam thought he was so smooth, but it was so cringe. But even with Sam, I mean, I defended him when it came to, I thought the show did manipulate the edit with him. The Sam one-on-one date that took place in the Spire, that whole thing, that felt completely producer manipulated, which Sam said and his family said, and everyone got mad at them. Oh, how are you saying the edit's wrong? But it's like, clearly that every season the show does that. They put the lead through some Fear Factor style stuff, and then they go, I'm nervous, I don't think, and then it ends with them kissing. It's you have to understand show structure, right? Every episode they try to have a beginning, middle, and end. They try to have some drama, they try to have some resolution, a cliffhanger. I don't think it bit him. Yeah, there'll be a lot to debate. Yeah, my wife had Lyme disease. I'm not anti-Katie. I'm not saying anything. I haven't said anything I haven't said before about her. I won't go into any further than that. Other than, look, I think I've defended her publicly many times, and obviously that didn't work out for me. But you don't always defend people so that they'll defend you back. You do the right thing. Okay, you do the right thing. Let's see. Last thoughts. Is there anything on Twitter that I haven't covered that you think might be interesting? Lots of people are grilling Robert Mills right now. That might be an episode 2, or that'll probably be in the same video. I can't believe he did that to Jen. What a jerk and so fake. Jen is a beautiful woman. I think they could have aired that scene and let Jen watch from the back room if she wanted to. I think there's other ways they could have done it, but again, they might not have realized how off the rails the convo with Devin and Jen was going to go. Layla said wanted to see Jen happily in love. Well, we found out Robert Mills is either a creator of the show or he's one of the executive producers. Someone said, you and the rest of your production team need to stop protecting these problematic men and be more selective when vetting these men. I think it's hard. I mean, I think it's hard to vet these guys because if the guys didn't have, like, it's hard to vet them when they're not famous because things come out of the woodworks. You know what I mean? Someone said, hi, ABC, this is for you. That sinister spectacle of a finale you made of The Bachelorette was disgusting. I wish I could hug you, Jen. That might have been the most shocking Bachelorette finale of all time, but it was also extremely effing, hold on, let me go bigger here. It was extremely effing weird and bordered, if not touched, the edge of something sadistic and voyeuristic. I feel like I just intruded on something I shouldn't have seen. It's not entertaining to watch someone in the midst of such insurmountable pain that they're nearly gasping for air. And it's not cute or funny that at the very height of that pain, you make them rewatch what they just described as the worst day of their life. Yeah, I almost felt as though Jesse Palmer was going to make Jen watch bloopers. Devin, what are you doing here? Anyhow, I have like a gnat that keeps on attacking me. What else can we say? I think that's going to do it. If you are new here or haven't been around, I implore you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free. Tomorrow's Patreon will be great. I'll probably be live maybe earlier in the day because we have to go to the baby's doctor appointment at noon. But also, if you haven't already, please, if you could, I appreciate it. Check out the Rush Hour podcast. You can just search Rush Hour podcast or just search my name, Dave Neal, or you can scan that QR code and it'll take you there. And we'll be continuing to talk about this. We do the podcast twice a day. I think I'm the only idiot dumb enough to do a podcast twice a day along with 3 YouTube videos. Today we did 3 YouTube videos, a private Patreon episode, 2 live streams, and 2 podcasts. I am exhausted. Paige said, good luck with your baby, Dave. I had my 6th month next to me. Oh, 6 months must be so cute. Yeah, we're celebrating his 4-month birthday, his 1/3 birthday in a couple days. Anyhow, that's going to do it for me. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for going to bat for me. You know, it's not easy, you know, gosh, my voice, hold on. It's not easy to, give your honest opinion. It's very easy to be in the comment section yelling at someone, calling people names, doing this and that. But, just to give your honest opinion, which is, all right, guys. All right. And by the way, look at my track record. In any case, when I see a whole bunch of people piling on in the community, I go, what are we doing? Really? Is that person really that bad? Is this person really that good? None of us are as good as people want us to believe, and none of us are as bad as people want us to believe. I say this, and you know what? I've said it a few times today. I'll say it again. I think we're all trying our best with the information we have. Friends of Megan Fox, not the actor, the writer, she said that some of my optimism might have rubbed off on her, but because, the world can be tough out there. But even assholes, even the guy cutting you off, even the guy, whatever, I still believe everyone's trying their best. It's just a weird world out there. And I don't think Devin conned Jen. I disagree with Steve. God bless him. But I told him I disagree with him. I don't see that happening. I think if Devin was conning Jen, if it was a conscious thing, he probably could have gotten out of it in a way less damaging way. If he was actually trying to fake a relationship. I mean, you'd have to be a real psychopath, which, by the way, you can be. Trust me. We've dealt with Laura. Well, okay, I shouldn't say who, but we've dealt with people that are insane. And that does exist. And people like me who expect the best from others do get taken advantage of. I would rather live in a world where every once in a while I get taken advantage of than think that everyone's trying to do me dirty. I'd rather be that guy. So looking forward to hearing your thoughts. And yeah, I appreciate. Yeah, Bruce, we have had some interesting characters in the chat. And tonight we also got a lot of audience that might not be ours that just want to shit all over honest conversation. But that's what I try to make it. I try to make it honest conversation. Ike said it because it sounds like he didn't try. I mean, guys, I've rejected since the beginning of time the idea that we know anything that went down on the season. Other than Jen and Devin giving us a long form conversation together, it's just gonna be a he said, she said. That's what it's gonna be. Thank you, Joy. This is my shirt that I wear every rose ceremony. I think I wear every premiere date and final date. Marshall Rosenberg. Everyone is doing their best in the moment. I believe it. Casey said, if you let your kid get away with anything, then you're not going to be, well, no one's saying you should let people get away with anything. I'm just saying from adults in any situation, it's kind of like it's like adjacent to the 4 agreements, which is like to not be offended by things. One of the 4 agreements is to just don't take offense, which doesn't work well in Bachelor Nation. Yeah, looking at you, everyone got offended at Caitlin Bristow. But I just go, yeah, I don't know. These things don't bother me. Yep. Layla said, bombshell, shocker of an ending. I'm sure Devin will lose followers. And, look, here's the deal. You gain these followers easy, you lose them easy. That's just the way the world works. Loonicorn says, I have FOMO and I can't go to bed until Dave goes. Well, should we do a late night Patreon? No, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to, I teased you. Let's see. By the way, if anyone wants to continue to talk, we have several ways. We have the Discord channel, which has a chat room. You can find it on my Instagram. And we also have the Patreon, which has a chat room. But we will have tea tomorrow. Coastline says, go hug your baby. My baby is probably sleeping. I haven't heard him in a bit. So my guess is I'll just go stare at him. But anyhow, yeah, no pay. Loonicorn's got to go to bed. So I'm going to go and I have everything lined up for the podcast. So I'll show you, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a sneak peek at what we're covering tomorrow on the podcast. That's not it. Hold on. We've got Travis Kelce says Taylor Swift is drying up plays. We'll cover that. We've got an update on the receiver that got shot. Elton John has an eye infection. And then we'll continue. I'll continue to talk about what we saw tonight, and we'll have a lot more. Lot is trending out there. This is one of those instances where we'll let the evening work itself out, and I'm sure there'll be new tea coming out tomorrow. Madeline said old DMs from August from a source. I don't know what you're talking about. Does follow, checks on Instagram for Pew. Hold on. Devin gained followers after Jen told us what he did to her. Yeah, so the podcast will also watch this season. Yeah, hopefully Tasha's sleeping, but we've had a couple rough nights. Zachary just tweeted some Devin stuff. Okay, let's go to Zachary's and see. Let's see what Zachary Reality tweeted. And then again, Zachary Reality. How come I can't find him? Oh, there he is. Let's go here. We'll see what he said and we'll get out of here. Well, we had a good run, says the Bachelorette. Looks like Devin didn't keep the main thing. This was the DM Zachary received on August 20th. Devin wins and they already broke up. My best friend's coworker's son was top 4 on the show and good friends with Devin. He was spotted around other girls in Houston for White Linen Day, and Jen got a lot of texts accusing him of cheating. They got into a fight and broke up because he can't handle the publicity. Well, I thought they would have been broken up a long time ago. Anyway, we'll know more about this tomorrow. So we'll table this. I'll be live around 10 a.m. on the Patreon, patreon.com/Dave Neal, and we'll continue the conversation. Thanks again, everybody, for sticking around. Lots of content coming out tomorrow. So double check. Make sure you're subscribed here. Make sure you're subscribed on the Patreon, and we will continue. I'll give you guys a special shout out, though. I'm giving this live stream a special shout out on the Morning Rush Hour podcast because you guys really, crushed it today. Moderators, Winks, Bruce, everyone else that's in there, Stoots, God bless all of you guys. Teresa, thanks for holding down the fort. And I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody. Boy, we really did it tonight. Well, gosh, we're almost at 2 hours. All right, I got to roll. Good night, everybody. Thanks for keeping it real. I'll talk to you later. Bye.